Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome back to another Aetherdrift spoiler. I am super satisfied because they are giving us a bunch of zombie commanders. Now, if you don't know the lore, literally the different planes are racing, and one of the planes is Amonkhet, which is the reference to Egyptian or Kemetic society, and they got zombies out there drag racing. Like, yo, that's pretty cool, right? They got the IndyCar 500 going on right now. So we got Hashaton, Scarab's fists. Just a little backstory over here on the left-hand side. The function of the Scarab God was to lead the Eternals during the hour of eternity and convert Amonkhet's creatures into eternal soldiers. So you know the ability Eternalize, where whatever creature comes back from the graveyard as a 4/4 zombie? Yeah. That's what we're going to be doing right here. Hashaton Scarab Fist for a white and a black on a 1/3 body, zombie wizard, legendary creature. He says whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, create a tap token that's a copy of that card, except as a 4/4 black zombie. First of all, this is an esper color commander. It is blue, white, and black in all of its colors. So you already know we can do a bunch of things such as graveyard shenanigans, reanimation, aristocrats, go wide with the white color pip. There's a bunch of things we can do here. But what I see him as a commander and what you really want to do is take advantage of these big beefy creatures in any of these colors and put them onto the battlefield for 3 mana. For 3 mana, you can get something devastating. And what's crazy about him, he only costs 2 mana to play. Low end commander, quick turn play. All you need is a discard outlet and a creature card in your hand and tap 3 mana total to put out something crazy that your opponents want to remove. This can eventually be an on-site commander to remove just because he enables creatures that quickly. And without further ado, let's get right into the 5 card suggestions. They're in no particular order except for the first one. So just realize when I'm talking to you, these are just ideas that I want to share to the Magic Realm for Commander. Let's go. So imagine for 3 mana, you could play Sheoldred Whispering One. Yeah, if you don't know the card, let me read the card to you. For 5 and 2 black, that is a total of 7 mana, is a 6/6 Praetor. She has Swamp Walk. That means when your opponents have a swamp on the other side of their field, you get to swing for free. Your creature does not get blocked. Anyway, she has the ability. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So all those creature cards that you decide to discard and make zombie tokens of, she brings them back and put them into play. And she is a 6/6 Swamp Walker. She also says at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. Yes, this is devastating. To be able to play this for 3 mana, that's way below curve. Way below curve. It just needs to be enabled with a discard outlet and Hashaton's ability. And this is just one of the many awesome creatures that you could put into this deck. There's a bunch of angels, there's a bunch of demons, there's a bunch of dragons that you could put in this Esper colored deck. So get the brewing. There's nothing holding you back from this commander, enabling you to play big beef creatures for pretty much 3 mana. Now, I will say this is one of my favorite budget cards ever because it's just a utility creature. Scourge Familiar for 4 and a black, 3/2 body, Phyrexian Imp. It has flying. Cool, 3/2 flyer, that is pretty good, right? It's not crazy, good. But it has the ability to discard a card, add a black mana. This is what we want to do with Hashaton's Scarab's Fist. Okay? He's literally named after the Scarab god, right? And he has Eternalize ability. So you want to discard that creature card, and it says whenever you discard a creature card, oh, you get to do that with Scourge Familiar, add a black mana. So essentially, you could use that 1 black mana to pay for the 3 mana cost or three activated ability cost. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. The triggered ability for Hashaton. So literally, you only have to pay an extra 2 mana versus 3 mana whenever you discard a card with Scourge Familiar. But it has to be a creature card for Hashaton to be enabled. Hopefully, you caught all that. This is a win-win creature, and you get to do this more than one time because there's no tapping it. Yes, so pretty much if you got enough mana and the right creatures that you want to put onto the battlefield at the right time, it could be some kind of infinite combo, and you just make the Eternalize zombie tokens of them. What do you know? What do you know? You could drop them on the battlefield by paying 2 mana for each. And do not, you know what's nasty? Hashaton's ability is not limited to your turn. It's on any player's turn. Think about that. Able to drop a powerful creature on a response or on the stack when an opponent plays something. All you need is a discard outlet. Here it is. So, of course, what is Esper colors, Dimir colors, blue colors without some type of cloning effect? Right here, we got Vizier of Many Faces for 2 and 2 blue. It's a 0/0 shapeshifter cleric. You may have Vizier of Many Faces into the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except if Vizier of Many Faces was embalmed. The token has no mana cost. It's white and it's a zombie in addition to its other types. Embalm for 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue. So, literally, for 4 mana, it comes into the battlefield as any creature. It could be an opponent's creature. It could be one of your creatures. Um, if you embalm it for 5 mana, that means this card is in the graveyard. For 5 mana, you could get to copy any creature, whether it's your opponent's or yours. What's awesome is if you have a discard outlet, maybe you need to copy a creature at instant speed. Use your discard outlet to discard Vizier of Many Faces. Trigger Hashaton's ability, and you got Vizier of Many Faces onto the battlefield as a copy of a creature. Because don't underestimate the importance of timing. Because sometimes creatures have abilities that will not make it around to your turn, and you need to take advantage of it. Vizier of Many Faces can do that for you if you have a discard outlet. So I was thinking, Hashaton actually takes advantage of many graveyard abilities like Embalm, Eternalize, Jumpstart, Flashback, Unearth, Channel, Disturb. These are all abilities that are activated from the graveyard. So if a creature is in the graveyard, because creatures do have all those abilities I just listed, uh, yeah, you can literally have or use your graveyard as a resource, an extension of your library that is available to use without drawing cards for you new Magic players. Let's get right into it for Denick, Pious Apprentice. For white and blue is a 2/3 body on a human soldier. It has lifelink. Cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities. This is a good way to protect your graveyard because your opponents do have cards that say exile target card in a graveyard. Unfortunately, this will not protect a card that says target player exile all cards in their graveyard. But if a specific card targets a card in a graveyard, it will be protected. Uh, let's talk about the disturb mechanic here. For 2 white and blue, you may cast this card from your graveyard, transform for its disturb cost. Then it becomes Denick, Pious Apparition. It's a spirit soldier on a 3/2 body. It has flying. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyards from anywhere, investigates. Ooh, this ability triggers only once each turn. Create a colorless clue artifact token with 2. Sacrifice this artifact to draw a card. So, sorry, I had to take a sneeze break. So, what is good about clue tokens here? There's a bunch of commanders that can use clue tokens. This also gives you the theme of clue tokens. Clue tokens are good in general because there are artifacts that you can sacrifice to draw a card, which automatically gives you synergy for artifact synergy, token synergy, card draw synergy. This is just another utility card that I think players can take advantage as more ideas on deck text for this commander is being brewed. So do not forget Denick, Pious Apprentice, that turns into Denick, Pious Apparition. All right, so to be honest with you, this is one of my favorite commanders of all time. He's in the top 5. It is the Scarab God, which is, named after Hashaton Scarab's Fist. kind of explained that subtly in the beginning. But, the Scarab God, I think, works well with Hashaton just because you can bring back those creatures in an opponent's graveyard or even in your graveyard. And, who's not to say that your opponents have made you pay so much commander tax for Hashaton's ability that the Scarab God is actually on mana curve in his ability. And also, the Scarab God is pretty nasty. He doesn't even die, really. He can only get exiled. So the Scarab God is a nice redundant creature for Hashaton's ability. So, somewhat redundant, but they go in the same realm. Let me explain what he does. For 3 blue and a black, 5/5 body on a god legendary creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. Yes, Hashaton's ability, I believe, is actually easier and faster to create zombies. So the Scarab God could also be like a finisher for your Hashaton's deck. All right, his second ability is tap 2, blue and a black, exile a target creature card from a graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. That is that Eternalize mechanic going on, y'all. Y'all know what we doing here, players. Then it says when the Scarab God dies, return it to its owner hand at the beginning of the next end step. So yeah, you're looking to have him in your 99 of Hashaton as a game ender. All those zombie tokens that you have on the battlefield, your opponent's going to be losing that much life, and you get to scry X. Scrying is very powerful. That's like literally looking through your library at whatever the amount of cards, and you get to decide what order the cards that you want to draw next, or what cards you do not want to draw at all. So you're manipulating the top of your library, and you are setting yourself up for future turns. That is the brilliance of the Scarab God. I'm not gonna lie, I fell in love with this commander. So I gave you more than 5 cards. And I think this utility artifact is going to be a sleeper. Hear me out here. Heirloom Mirror for 1 and a black artifact. Pay 1. Pay 1 life. Discard a card. That's what we want to do with him. That's what we want to do with Hashaton. Whenever you discard a creature card, pay 3 mana, Eternalize. So right here, we pay 1 mana, pay 1 life, discard a card. We're discarding a creature card. Then you get to draw a card, mill a card, then put a ritual counter on Heirloom Mirror. Then if it has 3 or more ritual counters on it, remove them and transform it. Activate only as a sorcery. So literally for 1 mana and 1 life, you discard a creature card, and you get to draw a card and mill a card. So therefore, you're able to mill a card, and milling a card, you can put another beastie creature in your graveyard, and you can reanimate it. You're going to have reanimation type of effects in this deck anyway, so why not? Then you get to draw a card. I feel like this is a win. Unfortunately, you can only do this 3 times before it transforms. I will get to the transform version over here. To the right, it's Inherited Fiend. It's a 4/4 demon flying. Tap 3. Exile target creature card from the graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on Inherited Fiend. Oh, this is good, actually. You know why? Because it says from a graveyard. You don't want to target your graveyard. This is graveyard removal. This is targeted card graveyard removal. And we're going to target our opponent's graveyard. And we're going to get rid of their creatures to buff up this 4/4 flying demon. Yeah. This is a win-win. Yeah. So as more deck techs come out on this commander, do not be surprised if this utility artifact is on there. Okay, this is another card I fell in love with lately. If you play with a bunch of creatures and you're doing a reanimation, Oversold Cemetery is a card you might need to add, players. For 1 in a black, it's an enchantment. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is good with Hashaton because you have to discard creature cards in order to activate its triggered ability. So you're going to have 4 or more creature cards in your deck. In your graveyard often. So if you're able to return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand and use his ability, his triggered ability again, you kind of got a loop going on here. Just repeat a loop. The only requirement is having 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard. So therefore, you get to put more copies of powerful angels and demons on the battlefield for 3 mana. You tell me that's not good. So, Hashaton Scarab's Fist is a reference to Amonkhet and the Scarab God because, they worked hand to hand, hand to hand, sometime in the, lore. But yeah, Hashaton I really think is a great card to emphasize graveyard mechanics. And I actually forgot one mechanic that works pretty well with it too: cycling. There's a bunch of creature cards that have cycling abilities. So whenever you discard a creature card, cycling, you can tap 3 mana. I haven't even looked at those cycling creature cards yet. But otherwise, take advantage of Embalm, Eternalize, Jumpstart, Flashback, Channel. There's a bunch of creature cards that you would want to reanimate, or Eternalize, making them 4/4 black zombie creature tokens. And don't forget, you could put big beefy creatures into the graveyard and make copies of them too. So Hashaton it's an esper color commander that is just going to take advantage of enter the battlefield abilities. Uh, the list goes on. And graveyard shenanigans when cards leave the graveyard. I think it's going to be a very fun commander. Don't underestimate it. Let me know 5 or more cards or suggestions that you have for this commander. Thanks for sharing. I'm Commander Claw. Peace out.